Chapter 17. Cat, Rat and Dog. Harry's mind had gone blank with shock. The three of them stood transfixed with horror under the invisibility cloak. The very last ray of the setting sun were casting a bloody light over the long shadowed ground. Then behind them they heard a wild howling. Hagrid, Harry muttered, without thinking about what he was doing. He made to turn back, but both Ron and Hermione seized his arm. "We can't," said Ron, who was paper white. "He'll be in worse trouble if they know we have been to see him." Hermione's breathing was shallow and uneven. "How could they?" she choked. "How could they?" "Come on," said Ron, whose teeth seemed to be chattering. They set off back toward the castle. Slowly keep themselves hiding under the cloak. The light was fading fast now. By the time they reached open ground, darkness was stealing like a spell around them. "Scabbard, keep still," Ron hissed, clapping his hand over his chest. The rat was wriggling madly. Ron came to a sudden halt, trying to force Scabbard deeper into his pocket. "What's the matter with you, you stupid rat? Stay still. Ouch! He bite me." "Ron, be quiet," Hermione whispered urgently. "Fudge will be out here in a minute." "He won't," Seput. Scabbers was plainly terrified. He was writhing with all his might, trying to break free of Ron's grip. "What's the matter with him?" But Harry had just seen, slightly toward them, his body low to the ground, wide yellow eyes glittering eerily in the darkness. Crookshank, whether he could see them or was following the sound of Scabbard's squeak, Harry couldn't tell. "Crookshank," Hermione moaned. "No, go away, Crookshank, go away." But the cat getting nearer. "Scabbard, no, too late." The rat had slipped between Ron's clutching fingers, ground and scampered away in one bound. Crookshank sprang after him, and before Harry or Hermione could stop him, Ron had thrown the invisibility cloak off himself and pelted away into the darkness. "Ron," Hermione moaned. He and Harry looked at each other, then followed at a spirit. It was impossible to run full out under a cloak. They pulled it off, and it streamed behind them like a banner as they hurried after Ron. They could hear his feet thundering along ahead, and he shouted at Crookshank, "Get away from him! Get away, Scabbard! Come here!" There was a loud thud. "What? Get off, you sticking cat!" Harry and Hermione almost followed Ron. They skidded to the stop right in front of him. He was sprawled on the ground, but Scabbard was back in his pocket. He had both hands held tight over the quivering lump. "Ron, come on, black under the cloak," Hermione patted. "Dumbledore, the Ministry, they'll be coming back out in a minute," but therefore they couldn't cover themselves again. Before they could even catch their breath, they heard the soft pounding of giant paws. Something was bounding toward them, quite as a shadow as an enormous pale-eyed, jet-black dog. Harry reached for his wand, but too late. The dog had made an enormous leap, and the front paws hit him on the chest. He kneeled over backward in a whirl of years. He felt its hot breath, saw inch-long teeth, but the force of its leap had carried it too far. It rolled off him, dazed, feeling as though his ribs were broken. Harry tried to stand up. He could bear it, growling at it, skidding around for a new attack. Ron was on his feet as the dog sprang back toward them. He pushed Harry inside. The dog's jaw fastened inside around Ron's outstretched arm. Harry lunged forward. He seized a handful of the brutes here, but it was dragging Ron away as easily as though he were a rag doll. Then out of nowhere something hit Harry so hard across face he was knocked off his feet again. He heard Hermione shrieking with pain and fall too. Harry groped his wand, drinking blood out of his eyes. Lumus, he whispered. The one light showed him the trunk of which tree they had chased Scabbard into the shadow of whomping willow, and its branches were cracking as though in a high wind, whipping backward and forward to stop them going nearer. And there, at the base of the trunk, was the dog dragging Ron backward into a large gap in the roots. Ron was fighting furiously, but his head and torso were slipping out of sight. Ron, Harry shouted, trying to follow, but a heavy breath whispered lethally through the air, and he was forced backward again. All they could see now was one of Ron's legs, which he had hooked around a root in the effort to stop the dog from pulling him farther underground, but a horrible crack cut the air like a gunshot. Ron's leg had broken, and a moment later his foot vanished from sight. Harry, we have got to go here for help. Hermione gasped. She was bleeding too. The willow had cut her across the shoulder. No, that thing's big enough to eat him. We hadn't got them. Harry, we are never going to get through without help. Another branch whipped down at them, twinkling like knuckle. If that dog can get in, we can, Harry panted, darting here and there, trying to find a way through the victorious swishing branches, but he couldn't get an inch nearer to the tree roots without being in range of the trees below. Oh, help, help! Hermione whispered, frantically dancing uncertainly on the spot place. Crookshank darted forward. He slithered between the battering branch like a snake and placed in front paws upon a knot on the trunk. Abruptly, as though the tree had been turned to marble, it stopped moving, not a leaf twitching or shook. Crookshank, Hermione whispered uncertainly. She now grasped Harry's arm, painful hard. How did he know? His friends with that dog, said Harry grimly. I have been them together. Come on and keep your wand out. They covered the distance to the trunk in a second, but before they had reached the gaps in roots, Crookshank had slid into it with a flick of his bottle brush tail. Harry went next. He crawled forward head first and slid down an earthly slope to the bottom of a very low tunnel. Crookshank was a little way long, his eyes flashing in the light from Harry's wand. Second later, Hermione slithered down beside him. Where is Ron? She whispered in a terrified voice. This way, said Harry, setting off. Bent back after Crookshank. Where does this tunnel come out? Hermione asked breathlessly from behind him. I don't know. It's marked on the Mordred's map, but Fred and George said no one ever got into it. It goes off the edge of this map, but it looked like it was heading for Hogsmeade. They moved as fast as they could, bent almost double ahead of them. Crookshank tail dropped in and out of view. On and on went the passage. It felt as long as one to Honeyduck. All Harry could think of was Ron and what the enormous dog might be doing to him. He was drawing breath in sharp, painful gasps, running at crouch. And then the tunnel began to rise. A moment later it twisted and Crookshank had gone. Instead, Harry could see a patch of dim light through a small opening. He and Hermione paused, gasping for breath, edging forward, both raised their wand to see what lay behind. It was a room, a very disordered, dusty room. Paper was spilling from the wall. There were stains all over the floor. Every piece of furniture was broken as though somebody had smashed it. The windows were all boarded up. Harry glanced at Hermione, who looked very frightened but nodded. Harry pulled himself out of the hole, staring around. The room was deserted, but the door to their right stood open, leading to a shadowy hallway. Hermione suddenly grabbed Harry's arm again. Her wide eyes were traveling around the boarded window. Harry, she whispered, I think we are in the shrinking shack. Harry looked around, his eyes fell on a wooden chair near them. Large chunk had been torn out of it. One of the legs had been ripped off entirely. Ghosts didn't do that, he said slowly. At that moment, there was a crack overhead. Something had moved upstairs. Both of them looked up at the ceiling. Harmony's grip on Harry's arm was so tight he was losing feeling in his finger. He raised his eyebrows at her. She nodded again and let go. Quietly as they could, they crept out into a hall and up the crumbling staircase. Everything was overhead in a thin layer of dust speck. The floor where the white shine stripe had been made by something being dragged upstairs. There is the dark landing, knocks, they whispered together, and the light at the end of their wand went out. Only though one door was open. As they crept toward it, they heard movement from behind it, a long moan, and then a deep, loud whirring. They exchanged a last look, a last note, wand held tightly before him. Harry kicked the floor wide open on a magnificent poster, bed with a dusty hanging, like rockshine pouring loudly at the sight of them. On the floor beside him, clutching his leg, which stuck out at the strange angle, was Ron. Harry and Hermione dashed across him. Ron, are you okay? Where is the dog? Not a dog. Ron moaned. His teeth were gritted with pain. Harry, it's a trap. What? He is the dog. He is an animagus. Ron was staring over Harry's shoulder. Harry wheeled around with a snap. The man in the shadow closed the door behind them. A mass of 50 matter here hung to his elbow. If eyes hadn't been shining out of the deep, dark socket, he might have been a corpse. The waxy skin had stretched so tightly over the bones of his face. It looked like a skull. His yellow teeth were bared in his grin. It was Sirius Black. Expelliarmus. He rocked, pointing Ron's wand at him. Harry's and Hermione's wand shot out their hands high in the air and back at them. Then he took a step closer. His eyes were fixed at Harry. I thought you had come and helped your friend, he said hoarsely. His voice sounded as though he had long since lost the habit of using it. Your father would have done the same for me. Brave of you not to run for a teacher. I'm grateful. It will make everything much easier. The taunt about his father rang in Harry's ear as though Black had billowed it. Boiling head erupt in Harry's chest, leaving no place for fear. For the last time in his life, he wanted his wand back in his hand, not to defend himself but to attack, to kill. Without knowing what he was doing, he started forward, but there was a sudden movement on either side of him, and two pair of hands grabbed him and held him back. No, Harry, Hermione gasped in a petrified whisper. Ron, however, spoke to Black. If you want to kill Harry, you'll have to kill us too, he said fiercely, through the effort of standing upright was draining him of still more color, and he swayed slightly as he spoke. Something flickered in Black shadowed eyes. Lie down, he said quickly to Ron. You will damage that leg even more. Did you hear me? Ron said weakly, though he was clinging, painful to Harry. To stay upright, you'll have to kill all three of us. There will be only of murder here tonight, said Black, and his grin widened. Why that? Harry sat trying to wrench himself free of Ron and Hermione. Didn't care last time, did you? Didn't mind slaughter all those muggles to get at Pettigrew? What's the matter? Gone soft in us cabin? Harry, Hermione whispered, quiet. He killed my mom and dad, Harry roared, and with a huge effort, he broke free of Hermione's and Ron's restraint and lunged forward. He had forgotten about magic. He had forgotten that he was sort of skinny and 13, whereas Black was a tall, full grown man. All Harry knew was that he wanted to hurt Black as badly as he could, and that he didn't care how much he got hurt in return. Perhaps it was shock of Harry doing something so stupid about Black didn't raise the wand in time. One of Harry's hands fastened over his wasted wrist, forcing the wand tips away. The knuckles of Harry's other hand collided with the side of Black's head and they fell backward to the wall. Hermione was screaming, Ron was yelling. There was a blinding flash as the wand in Black's hand set a jet of sparks into the air that missed Harry's face in inches. Harry felt the shrunken arm under his finger twinkling madly, but he clung on his other hand, punching every part of Black it would find. But Black's free hand had found Harry's throat. No, he hissed. I have waited too long. The fingers tightened. Harry chalked his glasses, asked. Then he saw Hermione's foot swing out of nowhere. Black let go of Harry with a grunt of pain. Ron had thrown himself on Black's wand, and Harry heard a faint clatter. He fought free of tangles of bodies and saw his own wand rolling across the floor. He threw himself toward, but Crookshank had joined the prayer. Both set of front claws had sucked themselves deeply into Harry's arm. Harry threw himself, but Crookshank now darted towards Harry's wand. No, you don't, roared Harry, and he aimed to kick at Crookshank that made the cat leap aside. Spitting, Harry snatched up his wand and turned. Get out of the way, he shouted at Ron and Hermione. They didn't need telling twice. Hermione gasped for breath, her lip bleeding, scrambled aside, snatching up her and Ron's wand. Ron crawled to the fourth poster and collapsed into the panting, his white face now tingered with green. Both hands clutched his broken leg. Black was sprawled at the bottom of the wall. His thin chest rose and fell rapidly as he watched Harry walking slowly nearer, his wand pointing straight at Black's heart. Going to kill me, Harry, he whispered. Harry stopped right above him, his wand still pointing at Black's chest. Looking down at him, a vivid bruise was rising around Black's left eye and his nose was bleeding. You killed my parents, said Harry, his voice shaking slightly, but his wand had quite steady. Black stared up at him out of those stunk eyes. I don't deny it, he said very quietly. But if you knew the whole story, Harry repeated, furious pounding in his ear. You should tell them, Voldemort. That's all I need to know. You have got to listen to me, Black said, and there was a note of urgency in his voice now. You'll regret it if you don't. You don't understand. I understand a lot better than you think, said Harry, and his voice shook more than ever. You never heard her, did you? My mom trying to stop Voldemort killing me, and you did that. You did it before either of them could say another word. Something ginger streaked past Harry. Crookshank leaped into Black's face and settled himself there right over Black's heart. Black blinking and looked down at Cat. Get off, he murmured, trying to push Crookshank off him. But Crookshank sank his claws into Black's robes and wouldn't shift. He turned his ugly squash face to Harry and looked up at him with those great yellow eyes to his right. Hermione gave a dry sob. Harry stared down at Black and Crookshank, his grip tightening on the wand. So what if he had to kill the cat too? It was in league with Black. If it was prepared to die, trying to protect Black, that wasn't Harry's business. If Black wanted to save it, that only proved he cared more about for Crookshank. than for Harry's parents. Harry raised the wand. Now was the moment to do it. Now was the moment to avenge his mother and father. He was going to kill Black. He had to kill Black. He was his chance. The scene lengthened and still Harry stood frozen there, was poised, Black staring up at him, Crookshank on his chest. Ron dragged breathing came from near the bed. Hermione was quite silent, and then came a new sound. Muffled footsteps were echoing up through the floor. Someone was moving. "We are up here!" Hermione screamed suddenly. "We are up here!" Cyrus Black made a startled movement that almost dislodged Crookshank. Harry grasped his wand convulsively. "Do it now," said a voice in his head, but the footsteps were thundering up the stair and Harry still hadn't done it. The door of the room burst open in a swirl of red spark and Harry whirled around as Professor Lupin came hurrying into the room, his face bloodless, his wand raised and ready. His eyes flickered over Ron, flying on the floor, over Hermione, cowering next door to Harry, standing there with his wand, covering Black, and then up to Black himself, tumbled and bleeding the Harry's feet. "Expelliarmus!" Lupin shouted. Harry's wand flew once more out of his hand. So did the two Hermione was holding. Lupin caught them all deftly, then moved into room, staring at Black, who still had Crookshank lying protectively across his chest. Harry stood there, feeling suddenly empty. He hadn't done it. His nerve had failed him. Black was going to be handed back to the Dementors. Then Lupin spoke in a very tense voice. "Where is he, Cyrus?" Harry looked quietly at Lupin. He didn't understand what Lupin meant. Who was Lupin talking about? He turned to look at Black again. Black's face was quite expressionless for a few seconds. He didn't move at all. Then very slowly he raised his empty hand pointing straight at Ron. Mystified, Harry glanced around at Ron, who looked bewildered. But then Lupin muttered, staring at Black so intently it seemed it was trying to read his mind. "Why hasn't he shown himself before now?" Unless Lupin's eyes suddenly widened as though he was seeing something beyond Black, something none of the rest could see. "Unless he was the one, unless you switched without telling me." Harry slowed his sunk gaze, never leaving Lupin's face. Black nodded. Professor Harry interrupted loudly, "What's going on?" But he never finished the question because what he saw made his voice die in his throat. Lupin was lowering his wand, gazing fixedly at Black. The professor walked to back side, seized his hand, pulled him to his feet so that Crookshank fell to the floor and embarrassed Black like a brother. Harry felt as though the bottom had dropped out of his stomach. "I don't believe it," Hermione screamed. Lupin let go of Black and turned to her. She had raised herself off the floor and he was pointing at Lupin, wild-eyed. You, Hermione, you and him." "Hermione, calm down. I didn't tell anyone." Hermione straightened. "I have been covering up for you." "Hermione, listen to me, please," Lupin shouted. "I can explain." Harry could feel himself shaking, not with fear, but with fresh wave of fury. "I trusted you," he shouted at Lupin, his voice wavering out of control, "and all the time you have been his friend." "You're wrong," said Lupin. "I haven't been Cyrus's friend, but I am now. Let me explain." "No," Hermione screamed. "Harry, don't trust him. He's been helping Black get into the castle. He wants you dead too. He's a werewolf." There was a ringing silence. Everyone's eyes were now on Lupin, who looked remarkably calm, though rather pale. "Not at all up to your usual standard, Hermione," he said. "Only one out of there. I am afraid I have not been helping Cyrus get into the castle, and I certainly don't want Harry dead." "And odd shiver passed over his face, but I won't deny that I am a werewolf. Ron made a violent effort to get up again but fell back with a whimpered pain. Lupin made toward him, looking concerned, but Ron gasped, "Get away from me, werewolf!" He stopped dead, and with an obvious effort, he turned to Hermione and said, "How long have you known?" "Ages," Hermione whispered, "since I did Professor Snape easy." "He'll be delighted," said Lupin coldly. He assigned that easy, hoping someone would realize that my symptoms meant. "Did you check the lunar chart and realize that I was always ill at the full moon? Or did you realize that the Bogart changed into the moon when it saw me?" Both, Harmony said quietly. Lupin forced a laugh. "You are the cleverest witch of your age I have ever met, Harmony." "I'm not," Harmony whispered. "If I had been a bit clever, I had have told everyone what you are." "But they already knew," said Lupin. "At least the staff do. Dumbledore hired you when he knew you were a werewolf." Ron gasped. "Is he mad?" "Some of the staff thought so," said Lupin. "He had to work very hard to convince certain teachers that I am trustworthy." "And he was wrong," Harry yelled. "You have been helping him all the time." He was pointing at Black, all who suddenly crossed to the four-poster bed and sank onto it, his face hidden in the one shanking hand. Crookshank leapt up beside him and stepped out his land. During Ron edged away from both of them, dragging his leg. "I have not been helping Cyrus," said Lupin. "If you'll give me a chance, I'll explain." "Look." He separated Harry's, Ron's, and Hermione's wand and threw each back to his owner. "Harry caught his stand there," said Lupin, sticking his own wand back into his belt. "You are armed. You are not. Now will you listen?" Harry didn't know what to do. "Think, was it trick? If you haven't been helping him," he said with a furious glance at Black. "How did you know he was here?" "The map," said Lupin. "The Mordor's map. I was in my office examining it." "You know how to work it?" Harry said suspiciously. "Of course I know how to work it," said Lupin, waving his hand impatiently. "I helped write it. I am Moni. That was my friend's nickname for me at school." "You wrote." "The important thing is I was watching it carefully this evening because I had an idea that you, Ron, and Hermione might try to sneak out of the castle to visit Hagrid before the hippogriffs was executed. And I was right, wasn't I?" He had started to pace up and down, looking at them. Little patches of dust rose at his face. "You might have been wearing your father's old clock, Harry." "How do you know about the clock?" "The number of times I saw gems disappearing under it," said Lupin, waving an impatient hand again. "The point is, even if you are wearing an invisibility cloak, you still show up in the murderer's map. I watched you cross the ground and enter Hagrid's hut. 20 minutes later, you left Hagrid and set off back toward the castle, but you were now accompanied by someone else." "What?" said Harry. "No, we weren't." "I couldn't believe my eyes," said Lupin, still pacing and ignoring Harry's interruption. "I thought the map must be malfunctioning." "How could be with you?" "No one was with us," said Harry, "and then I saw another dot moving fast toward you, labeled Sirius Black. I saw him collide with you. I watched as he pulled two of you into the Whomping Willow." "One of us," Ron said angrily. "No, Ron," said Lupin. "Two of you." He had stopped his pacing, his eyes moving over Ron. "Do you think I could have a look at the rat?" he said evenly. "What?" said Ron. "What's Scabbard got to do with it?" "Everything," said Lupin. "Could I see him, please?" Ron hesitated, then put a hand inside his robe. Scabbard emerged, thrashing desperately. Ron had to seize his long tail to stop him. Escaping Crookshank stood up on Black's leg and made a soft hissing noise. Lupin moved closer to Ron. He seemed to be holding his breath and be gasped intently at Scabbard. What? Ron said again, holding Scabbard close to him, looking scared. What my rat got to do with anything? That's not a rat, Crookshanks. Seriously, Black. Suddenly, what do you mean? Of course he's a rat. No, he's not, said Lupin quietly. He's a wizard, an animagus, said Black, by the name of Peter Pettigrew. That's it for today. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for our next chapter. Till then, see ya. Bye bye.